Welcome to Windows on the World. We've talked about housing, regeneration, how London's been re-engineered, and social cleansing. Now, social cleansing is a big issue now because a lot of people are being relocated out of London. I'm here in the studio with Alec, who was previously a tenant of Kensington and Chelsea and was moved to Wandsworth. So, Alec, welcome to Windows on the World.
Thank you.
Yes, we've had a little chat about what your situation was. Can you just give us a bit of a background? So you were originally a tenant in Kensington, Chelsea, is that right?
Yes, I spent in TMO property 6 years from 2008. And it did not go well because right from the start, the very dark, even in a police officer opinion, the darkest corner of Trellick Tower did not welcome me with full proper hospitality, and I've ended up in an escalated harassment up to physical assaults in plural.
Right, and so you decided that you'd better move, or was it the local
I was working
authority?
so hard, bombarding, visiting in a way, bombarding metaphorically, visiting constantly on regular basis RBKC of Town Hall until I've managed to gain attention of members of Parliament and being facilitated by MP. I can't remember who's the MP.
Who was the MP at the time?
Yeah, but nevertheless, serious work has been produced, and my welfare grounds transfer was named New Fresh Start.
Right.
To Wandsworth, to south of London, away from North Kensington.
Right, so you got a transfer
Yes.
to Wandsworth, and you told me earlier you were given a lifelong tenancy, is that
Correct.
Yeah,
It's
okay.
in an official plan that I was lucky to being advised, of course, by a professional like Councillor Pat Mason, not to trust on anything is hanging in the thin air, and request only hard copies, preferably black and white, open words, what RBKC have in plan for myself.
That's really important.
Yes, I have that letter.
Yes.
It's in a golden frame in my wall.
Right, okay.
Yes.
But to get everything in writing with a signature on it is the most important thing, because what a lot of local authorities do is they try and get out of things, they try and get out of liabilities. Liabilities are with signatures. When you've got a piece of paper, it's a contract with a signature on from the council, that is so important. And they try everything to get you out of those. So you've still got your lifelong, it's a lifelong tenancy.
Lifelong tenancy.
So what's happened since you got to Wandsworth?
I was right from the start mistreated by Octavia Housing Association, who did not realize, as they say in a 5 pages apologetic letter 2 years after harassment, when RBKC have rewritten what was facilitated by MPs and RBKC Town Hall for myself on welfare grounds in very panoramic illustration. Octavia took the innocence turn, like, oh my God, we didn't know, Mr. Kala, that you were a very exclusive client. We thought you were just ordinary homeless person who been nominated his turn, and we gave you starter tenancy, and we wanted you to open the door first 3 months, then next 4-6 months inspection, and then 9 months, and from that would depend the whether you would be granted.
We need to get this clear. So
security.
You were on a lifelong tenancy, and they are trying to say that you didn't have a lifelong tenancy.
Yes.
And they're trying to then get you onto very short tenancy.
Yes.
Okay.
To behave good.
Yes.
To behave like on the disciplinary and quarantine kind of
Oh, I see.
phase.
So what they're trying to do is get you onto
From
a
scratch,
sort of
everything from
a
start.
tenancy which basically takes away all your rights as a tenant,
Correct.
so that they can throw you out whenever they want to. And this is very important because they're doing a lot of this now. I think it's being written into a lot of new tenancy agreements. Where the council are building a lot of this high density housing everywhere. And the other thing is that they're offering part ownership. So what they're doing is they're taking away people's rights to own property, but on the back of that, they're also reducing the rights of tenants, and that's something we've covered quite a lot. So, did you decide to take any advice over this?
Yes, I asked advice from my solicitor. If
Was
you
this
like
was
his
this a
name.
solicitor who was appointed to you by the council or
Well,
the
no, it's
housing
a
association?
long relationship, way back to 2002. I know this lawyer that is on criminal charges lawyer,
Yeah.
but he also specialized in a universal sort of range, and he confirmed to me that he could help me with this dealing with council issues, and they acknowledge him as an equally and sufficient, appropriate lawyer to collaborate with. So he represents me, and they happy with it. Octavia, I mean, I'm
Yeah.
calling them Octavia.
So, what's the situation at the moment?
Situation at the moment is, nevertheless, regardless how, specifically, for 2 last years, I named the terms of, yes, you're welcome for inspection, but I must be supervised with possibly Tessa Strickland, who is the councillor of the Wandsworth ward that I reside at the property. So they heard me. Yet, not only they did not pay attention and heard my opinion and request, yet they, Octavia, again, they never have written to any of my professionals like care coordinator or social worker or case worker, even though there was email after email 2 or 3 years back requesting those conditions, and otherwise if I would receive email or any type of correspondences, I would consider the void. They are void because they are not copying those who have to advocate for mental health. Things like those uncomprehendable semantics, like very specific terms.
So what they're doing really is they're trying to bypass the people who can actually help you.
Indeed.
And you seem to have the opinion that they're trying to take away your rights, your long-term tenancy, put you on this sort of starter tenancy. So what's the position? How are you challenging this?
At the moment, they don't give me any time to challenge. They already engaged as solicitors on their behalf, who is intimidated me with £1,000 penalty or imprisonment if I don't contact my landlord Octavia up to the 30th of this month, which is September 2016.
So the Octavia solicitors have written to you,
yes,
saying that they're going to fine you if you don't contact them.
Yes.
Yet they must be aware of the situation with your tenancy. So why do you think they're doing it?
It's a whisper here, whisper there, gang harassment and stigmata on mental health grounds. Neighbors, unfortunately, don't take what's being offered on the table of negotiation on the start with Octavia, with a new fresh start with Octavia from the scratch, from square one. When I picked up the pen and signed my tenancy agreement, I expressed that only one condition would be if the condition would be met mutually on the mutual bridge, then this signature would be left on my tenancy agreement, which they, Octavia again, they accepted it. I moved into my new property on absolute, total, utterly mute, uncommunicative mode. That means no eye contact, not one sound of English alphabet, which I completed up to now for 3 straight years. No one heard my voice except to my children in elevator or in a communal area or around. No one saw my eyes. No, I never saw anybody's eyes. I'm advised to act as such only by professionals of mental health grounds.
So you've kept yourself to yourself, basically.
Correct.
Yeah. And what, in your opinion, though, why do you think do you think they're trying to get you out? Is that really what?
Correct.
You think?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
The rumor, as I heard literally from one Brazilian dog walker who lives in the same stock, he keeps shouting at me, even though police was called, and police was called not on very several occasions. Even there was a case of slapping in an elevator by caretaker, and all these issues going same old swept under the carpet. Even though this dog walker from Brazil mentioned to me that the buzz about me goes around and spread like a octopus in this local Porsche white trash
Right.
Battersea Square with Gordon Ramsay restaurant.
Yeah.
So they don't like this eyesore which I present in that location.
So I see. So you think that Octavia are trying to get you out? This is happening all over London, really. So have they tried to offer you anything else?
Oh no.
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 Okay. So you're still there, and you've still got your original tenancy.
Yes. Correct.
Okay. So what is their problem now? What is their problem with you?
Could I mention my lawyer who
Yeah.
is quoting and formalizing and introduces me to this hypothetical perspective that I will be, if I would be still acting as I am acting and sticking to my according my principal beliefs, then I would definitely be facing a jeopardy of being evicted. So that's why, Mark, today I'm talking to you because I stopped trusting and buying with a holy, solemnly and undigestively all the advices of this lawyer.
We find this a lot that people appoint lawyers or get lawyers appointed, and the lawyers tend to work in the interest of the council.
Exactly.
This really goes into a wider picture of that lawyers will often,
Can I say
not
something?
always, but generally work in the interests of the authorities or the crown, because that's where their loyalties have to be.
Can I tell what I done last exchange of emails with my lawyer? I asked him into his face, straightforward, directively, are you a lawyer oriented or orbit with attitude of helping counsel rather than your clients? You know what I heard instead? A total ignorance and a total silence. It's just like the question was never placed on table.
He doesn't want to answer it. He
doesn't want to answer that.
No. So you'd be better off really looking after your own affairs and make sure that everything's in writing. I think that's a really good place to leave it, but just for this section, because that's the main thing, is that when you're dealing with local authorities, is get everything in writing and make sure there's a signature on it, because they don't like doing that. We'll see you after the break. Welcome back to Windows on the World. We're talking about housing and kind of the dirty tricks that have been played against people. And we're going to talk now about tenancies. This is really important. We touched on this in the first part of the show, the difference between a secure tenancy and assured tenancy. A lot of people are being railroaded into accepting assured tenancies. They don't have to do this. If you've got a secure tenancy, like Alec, our guest here, that's a lifelong tenancy, and there's totally different obligations involved. So, welcome back, Alec.
Cheers.
Yeah, so we were talking about they were trying to get you onto a different tenancy.
Correct.
Yeah. So let's just go into that now. And what would you advise other people to do in this position?
Well, not to buy from first hearing anything landlord is trying to feed you, and really confirm with the authorities that subordinatively manage to provide what's on table of offer at the current time. So if you in doubt, I think you should go retrospectively and use the Sherlock Holmes deductive method.
Yes.
Find in square one.
Yes.
That's where it all began.
Exactly, because with you it began with a secure tenancy and
by RBKC.
Yes. Now another thing that we want to talk about is recording of meetings.
Correct.
Because you believe that they were trying to get you to agree to things without an advocate there. In other words, without a third party. You need a third party there. Yeah? Somebody as a witness, which you're entitled to have. And you also had a problem with them about recording, didn't you?
Correct.
So they really didn't want you to record the meeting.
At first, they allowed one formal session introductory with officer no longer with Octavia. He left. It's Daoud Hussein. He said a lot of things which been recorded. One of them, for example, do you like it here? We want you to know it's quiet place, it's old house, and Octavia hasn't got any financial funds to soundproof, which already hangs in the air that he acknowledged the fact of it's not compatible in a sense of level of noise penetrating one flat from another, which I constantly hear my neighbors seriously using very quiet noises.
I think that's a really good point. So what he did, he tried to get you into some kind of verbal contract to accept that the place was unsuitable really, but you were going to take it. He said, well, it's very noisy, it's an old building. Yeah. Correct. So that's really, you agreed to that. That they can say you agreed to it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you see what I mean. So that's very important actually to really call them to account on these things and get everything in writing. Yeah.
Correct.
So they really don't like you doing that. Now, the other thing that you've told me is that they seem to be stating that you've got a problem with them getting into the flat, saying that you've denied them access. Now, they have access at any time, right?
Correct.
Anytime you're there, they have access.
Yes, they are always welcome, and it's been clearly pointed 3 years back. I'm still accenting and highlighting. It's been brought, but somehow I tend to gain absolutely vice versa effect. The more I speak, the less I'm heard, and eventually, if anybody would not step up and be a speaker for mental health, like rethink or advocate for mental health, then those words will vanish into thin air. But what I've done diligently and frequently organized, I kept all my records and emails requesting, you are welcome to my property, please. But I have to have someone arbitrating, supervising. In one case, it was Hestia, called Floating Support Service. They really behaved, I'm talking about Octavia, they really behaved well and were at their best behavior when Hestia was there, because Hestia is not part of organization with Octavia. I learned that from Pat Mason in North Kensington, Goulburn Ward. When TMO and my tenancy would step into my flat and we would have a discussion of debatable, argumental nature, he would be there to restrain TMO officers not to bully, not to harass me, even verbally. And I was surprised to see how shockingly it's effective on those officers. They would be like a dolls.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a few things here that we just need to review. So, if you have any kind of mental health issue or any health problems, and you feel vulnerable, always have a third party there. That's your right.
Correct.
Yes.
It's not just what we believe. It's David Harris, Book of Law of Human Rights of Genevan Convention.
The Geneva Convention, yes, exactly. Which is where they're trying to say that we haven't got human rights anymore. This is the next big thing that people don't realise, is that human rights are being removed. And if you've got a secure tenancy, don't change it to an assured tenancy. And basically, you're allowed to record everything, and you should record everything. So maybe if things had been a bit different and you hadn't kept a record, you may be homeless by now. Do you believe that?
Would you like something to laugh about? When Octavia heard from me request, I will record, and I asked them even to record our telephone conversations, which they denied and stopped calling me. Because after several occasions, when I pick up the phone and said, "Are you recording this for monitoring purposes?"
Yes.
They said, "No." I said, "Don't call me then." Now, would you like to laugh something about? It's been like this, Mr. Kalla. You can record if you have tendency or propensity to forget things. You could record yourself, but you have to switch off the camera when officers will talk to you and ask you questions.
Now that is really
I have
suspect.
that email. I have that email.
You have to send me that. Could you send me that email?
I will definitely.
That's great. We'll put that up. But that's great, Ali, and well done. And it's very good information. And we hope you stay where you are.
Cheers. Bless you.